Hello, everybody. Welcome to CIS278. This is Professor Bob Hendry, and today is the 6th of November, 2019. So welcome to class. Now, a couple things before we jump into what we're going to be doing today. Just kind of as a notice here, we're about 3/4 of the way through the semester, so most of you are still working on your lab exercises and kind of catching up. And most of you are kind of taking this class like partially remote, where you're not kind of in, so you kind of don't know the pulse of things. And so this is always a good chance to kind of touch base with that. Now, just about everyone is still kind of trickling in their lab exercises. So if you feel like you're falling behind, you're probably not. You're probably right where you need to be if you're still maybe doing like lab 5, 6 and kind of catching up with it. But we definitely have made it over the hump because, today being the 6th of November, we still have over 5 weeks in the class to turn stuff in. And here's the good news. I assigned assignment, well, it would be assigned, right? Lab exercise or assignment 10 today. So you're going to see that on the link. It's going to be on Google Drive. You're going to click on the link. You know what to do. But here's the thing. That's the second to the last exercise that we have. Think about it. It's not due until November 17th, right? It's the 6th. Do the math. So you got like 11 days just to get that one in. Pardon me. My mistake. It's to the 24th of November, not the 17th. So you have plenty of time to do it. So there's a little bit of a respite here between what you're working on now and what's assigned. Because some of you, I know how it feels. You're just kind of treading water, and right when you're catching up, you're like, oh, here's another one. You actually have a little bit of a respite here because this one's not due to the 24th of November. So you got some time to do that. And just when you don't think it gets any better, that's the second to the last lab exercise. We only have 11 labs for the semester, and 10 of them have already been assigned, which means after this one today, there's one more. So you have time to catch up. Remember I said at the beginning of the semester that we can kind of cut the effort into 3 phases here. The first phase is the first third is we have a lot of material, and then you start getting some labs assigned to you. That's the first phase. The second phase is you have all this new material coming at you, and you're catching up with your lab assignments, and that's kind of where you're at now. Then we have the third phase, which is coming up like now, where you're catching up with your labs. You're still really, really busy, but there's no real labs on the horizon. That's where we're kind of approaching now, where the third phase is kind of a chance for you to catch up with what you're doing without me assigning a whole bunch of more stuff to you. Now remember, there's going to be no paper, so it's not that it's going to be easier, but you're just going to have a standard assignment to do instead of the paper. Now again, if you started the paper, turn it in. I'll give you some extra credit. If you want to finish it, again, I'll give you extra credit. If you want to start it and finish it, you could do that too. Extra credit. If not, you can cross it off your list. Don't even worry about it if you don't want to. So anyway, that's where we're at with the semester. So that's order number 1. Order number 2, since most of you, or over half of you, are taking this class kind of partial telecommute, where you're kind of doing the lab assignments and checking in with the online lectures, which is just fine. Just want to remind you that I am on campus. I am in our assigned classroom. Our assigned classroom is, It's the E building. I forget what it is, but the E building. Look at the syllabus, right? You think I would know that, but I know how to get to the room. I don't know the number of it. I think it's E141. But anyway, I'm there. Remember, our class time is on Wednesday from 6 o'clock until about 9:50 or so. And actually, I'm there usually early. For those of you that kind of get there early, I kind of trickle in between 5:15 and 5:30. So if you need to speak to me with some one-on-one, you don't need an appointment. Just come in. I would prefer that you kind of give me a heads up so I know what you want to talk about, and that way I can prepare. You could give me a code example and say, Bob, I can't get this working, or whatever, so I can prepare for you. That way I can maximize your time while you're there. So you don't have to make an appointment, but I kind of prefer that you do, so that way I know how to prepare for you and get you what you need. Now, if you can't make it on Wednesdays, I'm on campus on Tuesday evenings, Tuesday afternoons, Tuesday evenings, and Thursday afternoons and Thursday evenings, and sometimes on Friday, although Friday's hit or miss. Don't come to campus on Friday just looking for me, because I may be here, I might not. Again, communication's the key. Let me know what's on your mind, and we will make it happen. All right, that's how you reach me, and that's again, that's going to become important because we're kind of reaching the last stretch of the semester. I want you to know that you can find me. I'm around. If you need me, we can see what your problem is. We can always work virtually. A lot of you, we've been doing that. All that other good stuff. Okay, that's second order of business. Third is the final exam. The final exam is going to be virtual, just like most of the other class, and what I'll do is I'll get it to you. Again, don't panic. We're still, 5 weeks out. It'll be just like the other assignments. I'll give you the link to it, and you could do it on your own. And again, you're on the honor system. You could use Open Book or Open Internet, but you just can't use each other. It's not a group project, but it's only worth 10% of your grade. Remember, 80% of your grade are the assignments that you're doing every week, as it should be, right? Because you have control of your grade in your hands. So that's that order of business. I think that's about it. Yeah. So we're making some good progress. We're covering a lot of material here. I always like this class because databases, especially big data and transactional and analytical databases and schemas, is kind of what I do. That's kind of what that's kind of my gig, or my bag, if you would. So I really enjoy this class, the 278, because every semester I kind of mix it up a little bit and throw some new stuff in there, and this is going to be one of them. We started with virtualization. Now, the last lab exercise we had, lab number 9, I believe it was a little bit of a head scratcher for you guys, and rightfully so. I don't think anyone said, hey, this is a worthless lab. What are we doing it for? This lecture has nothing to do with databases. And yeah, maybe I don't I don't think that's incorrect, but this is where I'm going with this. We're going into cloud databases, right? And for our class, we've been using Oracle Apex, right? You guys know that. We've been using Oracle Apex, which is the cloud development tool for Oracle. Good. That's all good and fine. But what I want to do is I want to dig in a little bit deeper and have a bit of a deeper dive into setting up our own cloud databases. And that's going to start, well, it actually started with lab number 9, where I wanted you to spin up your own virtual machine. You spun up a Linux, a CentOS or CentOS machine, and hopefully you did it by now. But anyway, what we're going to do is when we get in the cloud databases and continue with cloud databases is starting with today is I'm going to have a demo on installing relational database management systems and virtual servers like that. Why is that important? Well, as part of the course, you might have to do that. You just could go and just provision your own virtual machine and do an install. And believe me, that's just the start of it, because at that point you could be using DevOps tools like Vagrant or Puppet or any of these other kind of slick DevOps tools to spin up multiple instances of databases. Like if you had a development database, a production, a QA, blah, 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 and all this other thing, you can literally just by a few mouse clicks just do all this. You can provision the machine, do the install, and install a database where, not even 10 years ago, you'd have to go to Best Buy and get the machine and plug it in and network it and get the CDs and install all this stuff and test it. And we talked about this a little bit earlier in the semester. And, we don't have to do that now. You can, but you don't need to, right? Let's jump into the 21st century and let's use virtualization and use cloud techniques and technologies to do what used to be laborious. We could do it and do it smarter now. And that's important, not just as a network internet geek, but as a database developer, as a DevOps or development operations specialist, you're going to be tapped to do that if you're not already. I mean, not every day, but maybe every day where, hey, Bob, can you spin up a version of Oracle for production, for QA, for whatever, or for testing? And then we can scale up and down depending on what our loads are. And we could have servers, starting at like $5 a month. I mean, all the way up. So it's kind of exciting stuff. I know it's not new. It's not bleeding edge anymore. But I mean, certainly if you look at databases and you look at stuff that's happened, the past year, the past 5 years, the past 10 years, and the past 30 years, this is definitely something that's fairly new. So I want you guys to have exposure to this. Again, I think that's important, where not only can you spin up a virtual server, but you can spin up a virtual server and do a database install on it, okay? That's pretty cool. I think that's cool. On the geek factor, that tips the needle for me. If I'm looking at a resume, I'm like, wow, you've done that, huh? I mean, I would talk to you about that. I'm like, well, what database have you spun up? Well, I've used DigitalOcean to provision virtual Linux boxes and did an install of MariaDB or MySQL or Oracle and did a login, blah, 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 blah. That's interesting. I'm like, wow, this dude or dudette is serious. I mean, you know how to do this. All right, so that's going to be the first part of what we're going to do. Now, a little bit about the lab exercise. The lab exercise number 10, which I just assigned. It's going to be like a two-parter. Now, don't panic. It's going to be one lab exercise. It's assignment 10. But since it's due the 24th, you're going to get half of what you need to do that assignment in today's lecture. This is actually the introduction, but when you do when you see the lecture, you'll see it like in the reading, like in all the other places. You're really going to get half of it. And then next week, which is going to be the week of, what is it? The week of the 11th. Remember, our weeks start on Monday, regardless of when class is. You're going to get the other part of it as far as the material and the lecture from me. So it's going to be a two-parter where if you're going to look at the assignment right now, you're going to look at it and go, I don't know how to do this. And then you're going to hear the lecture, my demo, you're going to do the reading, you're going to say, I still don't know how to do all of this. And then, trust me, then next week you're going to get the last half of it. So I encourage you to start, if you have time, to start looking at the assignment, and then kind of as you go, kind of like henpeck it and kind of get it done. But it's not going to be like a one-to-one thing like many of our labs have been. When we have class, we have the lecture, we have assignment, class, lecture, assignment, class, lecture, assignment. This is one of them where you're going to have class, lecture, then the assignment. But I'm just going to post it now. It sounds a lot more complicated, and I'm making it more complicated than it really is. You guys are already rolling your eyes. I could see it. All right, anyway, so that is going to be assignment 10. Now, the second half of assignment 10, which is not going to be talked about right now, is we're going to go over the we're going to go over the data dictionary. Data dictionary is the metadata area in the database itself that tells you information about the database. Now, again, you can ignore that last 30 seconds because I'm going to go over that in much more depth in next week's lecture. This week is going to be virtualization, and it's going to be spinning up a database in the cloud. Next week is going to be, now that you did that, we're going to talk about the data dictionary, which isn't really related to a database in the cloud, but it's related to the databases in general, so we're going to throw it in there. And also, on the horizon, we're going to still do some research in the cloud databases, such as if you wanted to, go on Amazon, AWS, Amazon Web Services, and you wanted to provision, a database and just kind of pay as you go, sort of like an Apex model. So it's going to be another cloud database that's not managed by you. Like, for example, what we're going to be doing today is really infrastructure as a service. We're going to take that and abstract it a little bit more and do the database as platform as a service, where all the other stuff like the installation is taken care of for us. So I want you guys to not only be database developers, but I want you guys to be versed in all these new technologies, because all this stuff is recent. It really is, and it's valuable to learn, and they're in-demand skills. So anyway, so that is about it as far as what we're going to be covering this week and what's going to be expected of you this week. We went over how to find me. We went over where we're at in the semester. As reminder, like I said, if you need to find me, well, by now you know too, so I'm just kind of repeating the obvious. Well, anyway, if you need anything, you know where to find me. Otherwise, at this point, what you can do is you can click on your assignment, And then in your assignment, you'll see what you need to do. You'll also see your reading and your viewing, and you'll also see the link for my demonstration. I want to point out, though, at this time, I have not posted all of the blood and guts for assignment 10. So don't panic. If you're ahead of the game and you immediately hear this lecture and you click on that link and it says we'll post later today, don't panic, because that just means that you just probably clicked it before I could upload it, because right now it's like a chicken and an egg thing. I gotta finish the lecture, I gotta upload it, I gotta put the links on. So if you see that, it just means that it's just not completely ready yet, but you'll see like a date on there. It'll say we'll post at the end of the day on 10/6 or early by 10/7. So it shouldn't be that confusing. Just giving you a heads up that it may not be ready the exact second you click on it, but it'll show you the date and the time when to click on it, and it'll all be there for you. All right, guys, we got keep on keeping on here. Stay focused. Stick with this. Work hard. All of you are working hard, and we're really covering a lot of material. This is a very exciting class because we're covering a lot of stuff. So happy reading, happy viewing, and I bid you all a very well rest of the day. Thank you.